Hello, YouTube. I don't know if you guys heard that right when I went live. My husband's computer started to make noise because he's going to play video games online with his friends, and I think that something like some of his notifications are going on in the background. So sorry about that. I hope you guys had a really good day. Sorry that we didn't stream on Monday. I had this exact video planned and ready, and then I had a really bad headache and I didn't want to have to read from a screen for like an hour. And so I don't have a headache now. Hopefully, we'll be good to get through everything I want to get through. But I have a good video planned. I'm very excited. Lisa, yay, more mountaineering content. Awesome. And hi, Monica, and hi, Mr. Ranger Lab. It's nice to see you guys here. Thank you so much for joining. Today, I'm excited to do another another mountaineering video. I don't click settings, no, click share screen, where we're going to talk about the second highest mountain in the world called K2, specifically the K2 bottleneck. And then we're going to look at two tragedies that really quickly, two tragedies that happened on the K2 bottleneck. It's going to be a really broad, high level overview. Mr. Ranger Lab thought they missed Monday. No, you didn't. I just canceled it at the last second. No worries, Lori. Nice to see you, and I hope you have a great evening. Okay, so this is a Base Camp Magazine, a mountaineering and exhibition publication. Can't see shit because my glasses are dirty. Can't see anything with my glasses off, too. We're going to do a quick introduction about K2, just really quick. We're not going to read everything on this page. K2, the king of mountains. Everest may be on every mountaineer's bucket list, but true mountaineers know the prize lies on the summit of K2 or Karakoram 2, the savage mountain, the brutal mountain, the king of mountains. Monica, this is about K2, a mountain called K2, which is the second tallest mountain in the world. For the past several weeks, I've been on a bit of a mountaineering mountain kick. I've done videos on Mount Everest, one on Annapurna. So we're just going to learn about a really tall mountain. If you want to learn about other really tall mountains, I think I have 3 other videos on this channel about mountaineering. Hi, Amanda. Nice to see you. And cute doggies. Cute puppies. Yeah, it's a bit of a random topic, Monica, but I went down a rabbit hole a couple weeks ago. I was seeing shorts on YouTube about Mount Everest, and I was like, oh, it's crazy. At just 8,000 feet shorter than Everest, K2 is the world's second highest mountain. While Everest is the tallest, it does not compare in any measure to the brutality that is an exhibition on K2. We already knew that. It's called K2 because, it has no name. K2 was dubbed Karakoram 2 in 1856 by a young lieutenant by the name of T.G. It's a highly technical mountain. Climbing it is not about whether or not you can trek your way to the top like Everest. It's about whether or not you can make it past its rugged base and continue up the path of what seems like a guarded gulag of sharp rocks and ultra steep walls. K2 is not a mountain to be okay, that's dramatic. I wanted to know the routes up K2. There's a variety of routes that exhibition can take up the mountain. Some are more popular than others. I'm going to mute so I can cough. Excuse me, sorry. The Abruzzi Spur route on K2 is the F here. So you can see that it's quite a steep route. So that we're looking at this route here. So we can just look at all the different routes quickly. So A, there's the A. So it looks like obviously every single route on K2 is going to be quite steep. But it looks like F, I think F is one of the most common ones. The Abruzzi Spur route on K2. Yes, with 75% of climbers tackling this pass that is located on the Pakistan side of the mountain. The route gets its name from Prince Luigi Amito, Duke of the Abruzzi, who first attempted to summit K2 in 1909. The route passes along the House's Chimney and the Black Pyramid. These locations are some of the mountain's most technical climbs. Abruzzi also shuffles climbers up the bottleneck, which is located just to the left of the dangerous Seracs. We're going to talk all about the bottleneck. The bottleneck has its history. It was here that in 2008, a series of accidents led to the death of 11 climbers in an event known as the K2 2008 K2 strategy, which we're going to look at very briefly near the end of the video. With the crazy temps we've been getting, mountaineering topics seem appropriate. Has it been chilly where you are, Mr. Ranger Lab? I feel like the weather is definitely very different than it usually is in a lot of parts of the world lately. Yes, you are right. You're right on all these high mountains, because it's very hard, obviously, to do high altitude rescue. So if someone is dead or dying at 8,000 meters, chances are they're going to be left there. Yes, they do. We did a video, I don't know if it was the last video, it might have been the Annapurna video, Monica, where we talked about the death rates versus successful summits for the top 15 most dangerous mountains, and Mount Everest was actually like number 15 in the world for the worst death rate, and Annapurna was the most dangerous. So that was the Abruzzi Spur route. The North Ridge route is the most dangerous route. 2 teams can attempt it at any one time. The route is accessed via the Chinese side of the mountain, passing some of the most technical areas on the mountain. And then the Northeast Ridge route, and then the West Ridge route on K2, the Southwest Pillar Magic Line route. Legendary mountaineer Reinhold Messner reportedly viewed this route and called it suicidal in 1979 and chose to ascend via the Abruzzi Spur instead. It is accessed via the Pakistan side and features some of the mountain's steepest sections full of icy rock. Oh. All these routes are dangerous, but certain ones are more dangerous than others. Several days of very cold temps. I can't wait until we get a day above freezing. We had a very short cold snap over the weekend. The coldest was minus 28 degrees Celsius, and it feels like it was low or high 30s, at like minus 38 degrees Celsius, which is cold. It's not the worst I've ever been in my life, but it's quite miserable. Yes, good points. The south face is another route, Northwest Ridge. Access to this route is via the Chinese side and begins at K2 Glacier, where it then climbs the Northwest Ridge before it turns through the rugged, rocky, and snowy terrain of the northwest face all the way to the summit. And then the Southeast Spur and the West Face. The West Face is a technically challenging route. It was ascended in 2007 by a Russian team, and it's most entirely comprised of rock crevasses and snow-capped couloirs. I don't know what that word means. We're going to look it up. I've heard it when I was prepping for this video. Do you guys know what couloirs means? There you go. Do you guys know what that is? Couloirs. Hi, Tanya. We're doing another mountain video today. Maybe why don't I just not look for an image? I look for a definition. Let's do that. It's a narrow gully with a steep gradient in a mountainous terrain. Okay. So it's a steep gully. Or a narrow gully with a steep gradient. Okay. Interesting. It is for sure hard to rescue Monica. Okay, and then now we're going to do a quick introduction to the K2 bottleneck. So here is a long queue at the K2 bottleneck, and I'll tell you what it is. This is the impression given by the video posted on social media. Oh, lucky, damn, good luck. Is the impression given by the video posted on social media by Migma Galgi Sherpa from July 22nd, the record summit day on K2. On it, a long line of climbers can be seen at the so-called bottleneck. Above them, huge ice towers that could collapse at any time. On Friday last week, some 120 members of commercial teams had reached, with bottled oxygen except for a few, the summit of the second highest mountain on Earth, more than ever before in a single day in history on K2. The bottleneck traverse, a section of the climb, is insane. You spend several hours underneath a giant ice cliff in an exposed position at 8,200 meters, one-third normal oxygen levels, and knowledge that many people slipped and fallen. We're going to watch that video in a second. The bottleneck, a narrow couloir at about 8,200 meters, is the key point of the normal route because of extreme avalanche danger. I'm sorry, my voice is so weird. And I hate clearing my throat into the microphone. I'm going to try my best to mute. I'm sorry. Okay, where were we? Climate change, which has also led to higher temperatures on K2, creates an increased risk of snow, ice, and snow masses hanging over the couloir breaking loose, as happened, for example, in summer 2008, when a series of serac collapses and avalanches killed 11 people in the summit zone. This is the scariest part on K2, and we had to be in a long queue, Minja Gauge comments in his video, which we're going to watch. Okay, let's watch that video. We get the gist, and then we're going to look at some other videos of the bottleneck because it's fascinating. But this part will be quick.
So it's 4:50 a.m. early in the morning. We just crossed the traverse part of bottleneck.
So they just crossed the bottleneck, and we're gonna see the bottleneck at the end of the video, like the part that we looked at last video, where it's like pretty much a vertical ice wall. But these people are at 82 or around 8,200 meters. They're in the death zone where the human body literally cannot survive, where you can just die at any moment, and they're in a long ass queue. Yeah, not for the amateurs, Monica says. It is wild to me too. Absolutely wild. Exactly, Lisa.
And here's the queue on the way to this.
And look at this person's leg. Look how much it's bent. They're on such a steep angle as well, and they're all holding on to one rope, waiting to climb up.
Awesome, huh?
Beautiful, but no way. I would never.
So people are wondering how climbing it is. Just need to go under this. Like that. And
No, it cut out right when the worst part was showing.
just need to go under this. Right.
It keeps cutting out. It keeps cutting out. It's frustrating me. You guys see this now. Yeah, so they're walking underneath this wall here, this fucking ice wall. Yeah, we're going to talk more about it after for sure. It's outrageous. Ah! Ah, no way. The man just said the scariest part of K2. I'd say so. Okay, that was. I love looking at this stuff. Is this the one I wanted to look at? Yeah, K2 bottleneck. Okay, let's share the screen. Share this tab instead. We're not going to watch this whole thing because it's just them like standing at the same. It's just them like standing in the same spot. But I thought it was cool, so I want to look at it too. It's kind of hard to see. I really wanted to show videos, and it's not fucking working. It's not working. Oh, hey, Tori. How's it going? Lovely to see you. We're doing another mountain video. This is about K2, the second tallest mountain in the world, about a certain part of one of the routes up to the summit called the K2 bottleneck, where people are on a tiny little ledge with an ice wall above them where they're at risk of avalanches and just falling off of the tiny ledge. And you'll see that they're literally above the clouds right now. So they're at 8,200 meters, which is in the death zone where the human body cannot survive. Yeah, that would be a big fat no from me. I can understand the sense of adventure, but no thanks. Yeah, I'm not climbing an 8,000 meter mountain. No, I would climb if I really wanted to be adventurous, maybe like a 5,000 meter mountain. But even 5,000 would be too much for me for sure. Oh, you finally get to sit down for a little bit today? That's good. I'm glad. Sorry you had a busy day, though. I agree. It's a completely unnecessary endeavor. Look at these clouds, guys. Maybe these videos aren't meant to be today. I thought I could just skip through this and we could see different views of it, but maybe it's not meant to be. I'm frustrated. We'll just watch a few seconds and we'll be done. Look at this ledge. Wow. I prefer watching videos with Heather and the C team while on my sofa with my canine weighted blankets. That's hilarious. Don't forget they're doing this in the extreme cold to boot. Double whammy in the extreme danger. Exactly. So we'll watch one other little intro to the K2 bottleneck, and then we can go on to the point of this video, tragedies on K2. Yeah, I don't understand the thrill of risking one's life like that. Exactly. Let me turn this up a smidge.
The bottleneck on K2, located just 400 meters below the summit at an altitude of 8,200 meters, is a notorious couloir.
That's the ledge. That's the ledge that people are on. And then gradients of 50 to 60% or angles of 50 to 60% above them. So just remember, that's the ledge. They're right underneath the summit, just a couple hundred meters underneath.
Characterized by its steep 50 to 60 degrees gradient and overhanging seracs, making it one of the most perilous sections of the mountain. Despite the inherent dangers, including the risk of falling ice and avalanches, the bottleneck remains the most straightforward and quickest route to the summit. Although climbers can technically bypass this section by ascending the cliffs to the left, this alternative route has only been successfully completed once due to its significant technical challenges.
Like Monica said, hell no, but beautiful views. 100%. 100%. So where am I going now? Okay, we're now on to the tragedies on K2 part. I have an article that I was gonna read, and then I thought, oh, we could just watch a video on it instead. But then if the video doesn't work, we could look at the article. Because before this, I was trying to get the video to play and it wasn't working. So worst case, we'll just read the article. But I feel like It's probably boring just listening to me talk the whole time. Took the morning off, took one of my dogs to the vet, and just had regular adulting to do. Boo. Adulting's annoying. Sometimes I wish I could just like lay on the couch and do nothing. Not gonna lie, beautiful views. Oh yes. Oh, you have done skydiving? Very cool. So this is, they're gonna explain it, but a porter, someone who carries equipment up the mountain, died on the K2 bottleneck, and there was a lot of controversy around it with Kristen Harvilla. And this is where we're going to talk a bit about high altitude rescues in mountaineering.
A moment of life and death.
And hear this, right? Like you've been able to hear all the stuff that we've been talking about. Because one time when I was a while ago when I was sharing YouTube shorts, all the shorts I showed, no, like there was no volume. I can't talk. Can you hear my voice? Sorry, my water bottle hit the mic. Apologies. Oh yes, skydiving. No, thank you. It is so great. And we have such a nice comfy couch too.
The group of climbers in this video can be seen just 1,300 feet away from the top of the world's second highest mountain.
So 1,300 feet. Or maybe they're not on the bottleneck yet. But I thought the bottleneck was only a couple hundred feet underneath. Either way, doesn't really matter. It's still fucking high.
But rather than celebration, some face criticism after a porter collapsed on the route. Mohammed Hassan, a father
of 3, he slipped. That's what we missed. I'm going to wait until my connection comes back because I want you guys to see this. Okay, let's try this again.
From a narrow ledge at around 8,200 meters.
Okay, yes. So K2 is at 8,200 meters, a couple hundred feet below the summit. He slipped on the bottleneck, which we're going to see here.
Video shows part of a group climbing over him, pushing on to reach the summit.
So that's Mohammed Hassan there. I don't know if at this point he was alive when people were climbing over him, but there was controversy about no one was wanting to help him when he was still alive, questioning why there wasn't a high altitude rescue organized right away. But then there's also questions about, well, what could an average person climbing this mountain do? Because high altitude rescues are incredibly hard to do. A lot of the times the people who are doing the rescuing end up passing away tragically, and there's not always a whole lot that can be done, and there's not much that someone who's not trained in high altitude rescues can do in this situation. So it's really easy for me to say from all the way down here, not 8,200 meters up, well, why are people just climbing over him if he's alive? Then it's like, what else should you do when your life is also in grave danger on the side of an incredibly dangerous mountain? But then there's also the whole thought of summit fever, where we've talked about this, where you're so close to your summit and you don't care about the danger, you don't care about maybe ethics or morals, and you just want to get to the top to achieve that goal.
We are very happy to be here.
Record-breaking mountaineer Kirsten Harila was among the climbers determined to set a new record, filming this video before she says she knew Hassan was dead. Harila, though, believes she and her team did everything they could.
We tried to rescue him for many hours, and it's a very, very challenging and dangerous mountain, and we were probably on the most dangerous place, and it was an accident, and we tried what we could.
But footage of the fatality captured by mountaineer Philip Flamig.
Kristen Harilla and her team say that they did all they could to rescue Mohammed Hassan, and then other people say that while he was still alive, people were climbing over him and were not helping him. And again, it's easy for me to say, oh, you need to help him from all the way down here. It's just so sad to think that someone was just laying precariously on this little edge on the side of a huge mountain, and people were literally just climbing over him in their bid to get to the top of the mountain. And that makes me feel really sad. It's so tragic.
They had to literally step over this body when he was lying there on this little ledge, which is like this. All these people needed to pass him. He was still alive. In the next picture, I saw, okay, they are up. There was just one person rubbing him. I said,
so there's Muhammad Hassan. I was going to say something else. I don't remember what it was. But they did get his body down the mountain a full year later, which we're going to look at after.
Why didn't they brought him down?
Oh yeah.
Some of the climbers.
Oh yeah, I don't know. When I was looking into this, I don't know if there were calls down to base camp and if there's a rescue attempt scheduled. I don't know. I don't think so, because it was a full year later that his body was recovered. And I just wonder why nobody thought to encourage the starting of a rescue mission, especially when he was alive.
Have now met with Hassan's family, who are coming to terms with their loss. But for those who were there with him at the end of his life, questions over whether they did or they could to save him. Shimon Freeman Powell.
Sorry. And just imagine that, right? Imagine you're the person trying to help. Can you guys hear me? I don't even know. Imagine you're the person trying to help this man on the most dangerous part of the most dangerous mountain, and you're by yourself. And remember, they have a limited amount of oxygen. So the one person, the few people who are trying to help him, every moment they spend in one spot like this, just like how dangerous it is with the traffic jams, they have less oxygen. They're more likely to run out of oxygen before they get down the mountain. Thank you, Mr. Rangelab. I just see little ticks on my computer that show when my internet connection is sucking. And it was so bad for like 10 seconds there. And I was wondering if I should stop talking until it comes back. So thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. So that was the tragedy of Muhammad Hassan dying on the side of K2 on the bottleneck. And a nice part is that his body was retrieved. There was a rescue mission a year later, and he was reunited. His body was reunited with his family, so they were able to have some closure. I want to talk quickly. We're not going to read every little piece of info on this article, but I want to talk quickly about his rescue mission. This is the rescue team. Let me unzoom it so we can see. This is Zarek Hassan, Dilwar Sadpara, Akbar Hussein. I can't say their names, my apologies. You can see their names down here. Apologies, but these are the people who rescued Muhammad Hassan. Let me zoom in a bit more. Last week, Pakistan, and this was, when was this published? August 8th, 2004. Last week, Pakistani climbers brought the body of Muhammad Hassan down from 8,400 meters on K2. They took him back to his family, thus closing a shameful episode in both the climbing industry and the history of K2. And there is at least hope that there might be a turning point for future 8,000-meter expeditions in Pakistan. You just sit up straight because my chin's disappearing. As Hassan agonized at 8,200 meters on July 27, 2003, climbers who had jumped over him on the way to the summit and back tried to shield themselves from criticism behind the supposed impossibility of rescuing someone from such a place. 1 year later, 5 men extricated the body from a coffin of solid ice and managed to bring him down in 48 hours, efficiently, safely, and affordably. It's proof that the most remarkable acts in the mountains may not involve a summit. The whole operation started with the will and logistical skills of the Pakistani woman, Naila Kiani. Naila Kiani is pursuing her own 14 times 8,000 meter challenge, but she was on K2 this summer not to climb it. She has already done so last year, but to carry out a cleanup project sponsored by Mashreq Bank. The 14 times 8,000 just means people are wanting to summit all of the 14 8,000 meter and above peaks. She coordinated a team of low-altitude porters and climbers to improve the state of the higher camps. During this time, I learned that Hassan's family had been seeking assistance for over a year to retrieve his body, and aware of my team's presence, were trying to contact us. I met Hassan's mother and his wife in Skardu before the mission. They were still crying. They wanted to bury the body in their village to have closure. This is one of the climbers who witnessed how he was treated on the mountain with his family. Mohammed Hassan was an inexperienced climber who joined the K2 summit push, hoping to increase his standing in the climbing community. He fell sick and suffered a slow death at the bottleneck while around 100 climbers passed him on their way to the summit. As the line of climbers descended, they passed Hassan's corpse. He left a sick mother, a widow, and 4 sons behind. His youngest child was born months after he died on K2. And this is footage from Philip Flaming. Shows a line of climbers under the Great Serac and K2's bottleneck with Hassan's location circled. So we're not sure if he was alive at this point, but let me unzoom for a second. All those people had to climb over his body. And I feel like if we're climbing over human bodies, dead or alive, then we probably should not be on this mountain. Because Mount Everest too, you'll be climbing and you see a dead body over there and you're like, oh, that's terrifying, right? If we're seeing that, maybe humans don't need to be on the mountain. The pic is impressive, Monica, for sure. Hassan's family had fared better than many families who lost their main provider in Pakistan's mountains. Who's Steindl? Did we skip? Oh yeah. So the story went viral after Philip Flaming's revealing drone footage and the testimony of Austrian climber Wilhelm Steindl. Yeah. I read that really awkwardly, sorry. He was inexperienced, couldn't afford to buy really good gear, and that probably contributed to his accident for sure, 100%. Steindl raised a remarkable amount of money to support Hassan's family. According to Kiani, Steindl saw that the family got a new house, land, and money in the children's account until they turned 18. Kiani's team decided to try and retrieve the body. They renewed the necessary no objection certificate from local authorities on July 18th, just days before the summit window. There's Kiani on the K2 base camp. Wow. The team included 3 climbers just back from Nanga Parbat. I'm sorry, I can't say these names. My apologies. It also featured 1 climber from the cleanup team, Murad Sadpara, and another, Ali Mohammed, who had just returned from the summit. Let me unzoom so we can look at this picture properly. Yeah, so those are climbers on the bottleneck. And yeah, there is, you can't see in the yellow, there is Mohammed Hassan. Okay, let's zoom back in. My logistics partner, Iman Pakora, agreed not to make any profit from the expedition and kept costs low by using the existing cleanup team's infrastructure at base camp. On July 27th, Kiani sent the team to Camp 2 with instructions to wait there while she asked the K2 rope fixers to see if the body was still under the Great Serac. On July 28th, they confirmed the body's location. I don't know what they're doing in this video. I don't want to see a dead body up close, so maybe I won't click that just in case. It looks like they're at a lower camp, though. Maybe this is the cleanup mission, because remember, these people were just doing a cleanup mission to improve the state of the higher camps. So I'm assuming it's not a dead body. I just don't want to click play just in case. The retrieval operation took place immediately. The team recovered the body and brought it to Camp 4 on July 30th. One day later, they had all returned to Advanced Base Camp. She had tentative support from donors from the Gilgit-Balston government and William Stendhal, but I aimed to secure funding internally, Kiani noted. The mission was humanitarian, but we aimed at covering the expedition costs, including the climber's salary, Kiani said. The logistics company only charged for food, transport, and oxygen at cost. I also didn't make any money. All the funding we received went directly to the logistics company. Eventually, I couldn't find an internal sponsor, so I asked Stendhal, who had supported the family a lot this year and is working on a mountaineering school project in Pakistan. He generously paid the logistics company. Remember, Stendhal was one of the people who witnessed how Muhammad Hassan was treated, and he supported his family a lot in the year after Muhammad passed away on the mountain. The retrieval had brought comfort to a devastated family. It also made a clear point. A rescue at 8,400 meters on K2 is possible. Often unfavorably compared to the Nepalese Sherpas, the Pakistani mountaineering community has demonstrated they are skilled, driven, and strong enough to perform something previously considered impossible. The recovery mission has given confidence to the climbers that they are capable of executing risky rescue missions, Kiani said. It should also give foreign climbers confidence in the capabilities of Pakistani high-altitude workers. I also hope that with this success, the relevant government organizations can help us establish structured rescue teams. So that's the part I wanted to read. Then we're talking about the certification of the mountain guides in Pakistan, which we don't need to see that part. If you want to read the rest, I'll send it here. I wanted us to learn about what happened to Muhammad Hassan and then the rescue mission. This is a really long link. Sorry. I'm just putting it in. If you want, you can click. Oh, it's divided into two. That's awkward. I'll just delete. Can I delete my comments? I'll delete my comments. How do I delete this one? I'll hide it. There you go. No. You can, here, let me just show you the title. There you go. Explorer's Web, First Step to a Better Future, Retrieving Muhammad Hassan's Body from K2. And it shows, yes, that high-altitude rescues are possible. However, the individuals who were climbing this mountain were most likely not well-equipped to be performing this kind of rescue. So those individuals themselves, majority of them, would not have been able to bring Muhammad Hassan down the mountain. But it's unclear still if there were any phone calls down to base camp saying, organize this rescue mission right now. Try to send helicopters, even though helicopters don't fly that high. But we need to do something. I just wonder if there's any urgency in the moment, because the only stuff I've seen were climbers going over his body while he was dead and alive on their bid to the summit. So that was tragedy number 1. Horribly sad that a father of 4 passed away and all of his sons are not growing up without a father, and that it's sad that he appeared to not receive as much help as he could have, although no one knows what really happened on the side of the mountain, because everyone is already in a high stress environment. We don't know exactly what happened. We don't know what happened, right? It's just really sad to think about his last final moments while he was alive on the K2 bottleneck. Did the climbers think that he passed when they were walking by him? According to some of the testimonies, he was alive for part of the time when he was being climbed over. Although, again, we don't know. Maybe the climbers did think that he was already dead when they climbed over him. Okay, this is the last one. This is another tragedy, but we're just going to do a quick introduction to it. It's National Geographic. Deadly K2 accident ties for second worst in Himalayan history. This is our last thing we're going to do, and then we're going to be done. Woo! Okay, this is the very brief overview of the 2008 K2 tragedy. 11 are feared dead after a serac collapse last Friday near the summit of 28,250-foot K2, located in the Karakoram of northern Pakistan and arguably the most deadly mountain on Earth. What bothers me is the lack of confirmation. No one came to his aid or at least check for a pulse or something. So in the video that we saw near the beginning with Kristen Harilla, she said that she did have her and her team stayed with him for a few hours and tried their best to help him. And okay, I have a memory of her saying in another video that she thought there was a rescue operation underway. She thought that people were on the way to come get him at the time. But then nothing happened, apparently. Like, there was no immediate effort to rescue him at the moment. Okay, here's the accident. Taking advantage of clear skies and low winds last Friday, 22 climbers pushed along the southeast ridge to the summit of the mountain. But on their way back down, a large block of ice broke loose at a steep couloir at 8,200 feet. I can't be sure, but my guess is that the serac collapsed with this big ice cliff hanging over the bottleneck, which, while climbing K2 in 1992, I jokingly called the motivator. The idea being that you want to get out from under it as soon as possible, says alpinist Ed Weisters, the first U.S. citizen to climb the world's 14 highest peaks. The avalanche demolished the fixed ropes used for traversing the bottleneck, the most dangerous section of the mountain. We still don't know what really happened, but some of the climbers reached the summit as late as 8 p.m. I can imagine them coming down exhausted and counting on the fixed ropes. When the ropes were gone, it's possible some waited for daylight and few perhaps tried to climb down the difficult terrain and fell off. So I'm suddenly uncomfortable. We're almost done. Nine, including the first Irishman to ever make the summit, were stranded overnight above the bottleneck. Today, the Pakistani military scrambled 2 helicopters to assist with the rescue, helping to recover 2 Dutch mountaineers. If the disaster was triggered by climbers being stranded above the bottleneck after collapsing serac took out the fixed rope, notes Roberts, then I can't think of a comparable death trap in mountaineering history. Sorry, I can't read. My eyes are hurting. So 11 people died in one day because, they were counting on fixed ropes. The fixed ropes were not there. Some tried to climb down the bottleneck without the fixed ropes and passed away. And some waited, some tried to climb down, some fell off, and 11 people were thought to be dead. So that's another big tragedy on the... So I wanted to look at the New York Post article I had about the first tragedy that we talked about with Muhammad Hassan, but I can't because I have to accept ads. Muhammad Hassan K2. So let's look at this really quickly. What we know about the last 3 hours of Muhammad Hassan's life on K2. So yeah, he was an employee of Lila Peak Expedition. Alex Abramov's 7th Summit Club assigned him to assist the rope fixers during the summit push. Rope fixers literally just climb up the mountain, fixing ropes to the side of the mountains. There's Muhammad. I want to see. It's so frustrating when they're like, this is the topic of this article, and then you try to find the topic. He fell down and broke his O2 mask, Laka Sherpa, who was in base camp, told Explorers Web. He fell and hit a rock, Migma G said, also from base camp. He fell in a crevasse, Lucy Westlake said. He was hanging upside down for over an hour, a climber, Allie Peeper said. They managed to pull him back up. At first he was alive, but he couldn't be saved. Then everyone had to step over him to head towards the summit. Luis Soriano was the second 7 Summit Club team, which reached the summit one day later. I talked to the Sherpa who saw him fall and who helped Hassan back to the traverse. Apparently, Hassan slipped and fell and eventually stopped face down crying until someone managed to drag him back to the traverse. The Sherpa who helped Hassan was Hulang Dorchi Sherpa of 8K Expeditions. So we already saw that his oxygen mask broke. Not so suddenly, Philip Flaming, a cameraman working on the mountain for Service TV, the porter was still moving 3 hours after the accident. Fleming was not there, but his drone was. Fleming was with William Standell and Team Serdar Nigma Sherpa near the bottom of the bottleneck at 2:30. They were waiting for the rest of their team and for the crowds at the bottleneck to disperse. There were some 30 people at the beginning of the bottleneck and another big group at the traverse. Then there was a big avalanche, crack, and suddenly the headlamps were gone in the dust that covered the mountain. Migma Sherpa ran away and we all lay flat on the ground. Luckily, nothing came down. Okay. I want to know about Muhammad. I want to know about his last 3 hours on the bottleneck. So yeah, this is where Hassan was. All these people were above him, all these people were below him. And apparently as this person said, he was alive for 3 hours after the accident. A close-up shows climbers moving past Hassan, framed from drone footage by Philip Flaming for Service TV. Where is Hassan? Where is he? Maybe this is Hassan there. Fleming talked extensively with Harilla's camera operator. He confirmed that Hassan's accident took place at 2:20 a.m., shortly before the main avalanche that fell at 2:35 a.m. Fleming started filming with his drone at 4:30 when it was still dark and continued until 5:30, 20 minutes after sunrise. We already know Fleming and Steindl collected money. I do not know how there was no attempt to rescue them, although he was in a very complex place, right on the trail in the middle of the traverse under the Great Serac. People literally had to jump over him on their way to the summit. I passed by that place the following day, and the body was there. A tragedy. There is no rescue team on K2, and the liaison officer can do nothing, Laka Sherpa said. Before his accident, some Sherpas told him to go back many times because his climbing equipment and clothes were very poor, like Lisa said. But he didn't listen and followed the other climbers. The weather was very bad, and most of the climbers were approaching the summit of K2. I guess once he got injured, he might not have been able to move. So from the bottleneck, it's very difficult to bring him down. Asked what can be done for a climber in trouble at K2's traverse, Lakpa said they must give him oxygen first and then mobilize the team to bring him down. If I had known about the problems, I would have helped, Lapka said. It doesn't matter which team you're on, but I only got the news once he passed away. However, my team and Sherpas still helped him. Lucas Furtenbach of Furtenbach Adventures said, we would have stopped our summer push and helped, no matter what it takes, even if it means we have to give up our oxygen supplies, even if it means no summit for all of our clients. This is a fundamental part of the pre-summit push briefing I do with all the clients. I always prepare them so that if we come across a situation like that, we help, period. So that's a bit more details. I feel like we're running out of time about the 2008 K2 tragedy, so maybe that can be another video. But we did a quick introduction on what the 2008 tragedy was. I should have known better than to try to do too many things in one video because I talk a lot. But we learned in detail, a reasonable amount of detail, the tragedy of Mohammed Hassan's death on the K2 bottleneck, how there was no rescue mission organized until a year later to retrieve his body from the mountain to send to his family so they could have closure. We learned that he left behind 4 sons, a wife, and a sick mother, which is incredibly sad. We learned Lisa was right about her comment that he had low-tech equipment and he didn't have the proper clothing. And we also learned that other Sherpas and porters and climbers suggested he go back because he also appeared to not have the skills necessary to climb the mountain safely. We did learn that high-altitude rescues are possible on K2. You just need to have a really specialized group of climbers who have the skills to do so, because you are not just, it's hard enough to survive climbing K2 without bringing a body down the mountain. So your average mountain climber would not have been able to rescue him. It just seems like it's a shame that it seems like there were no immediate attempts to get him down the mountain, because according to what we've heard in this video, he was alive for 3 hours after his accident. Like Monica mentioned, though, we don't know for sure if people knew they were climbing over an alive man, a man still breathing for those 3 hours. People could have thought that he had passed away. We don't actually know if people knew they were climbing over an alive person on the side of the bottleneck. So that's all I have for today. Really appreciate the people who watch these videos. I know it's random. It's a random topic for me, but I've been really enjoying learning more about these mountains, and it's been a really fun rabbit trail. So thank you, everybody. That's all I have. I'll do another stream next week. I don't know what it's going to be about, but I'll think of something. Bye, Monica, and you're welcome, Mr. Ranger Lab. Thank you for joining. I hope you guys have a great evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.